The first presidential primary is coming up this Tuesday, January 23rd. So in this video, we're going to take a look at what's happening on both sides. So I've got this ABC News article pulled up. I'll scroll through it if you want to get a little bit of background about what's happening with the process. But now that Iowa is in the rear view, there's a couple of potential storylines for each side. For the Republicans, this is expected to be Donald Trump's weakest state. So if there's any real momentum with Nikki Haley, even though she got in third in Iowa, New Hampshire is going to be the place for her to make a name for herself. Ron DeSantis, who got in second, is not expected to do much in New Hampshire, and recently we've had Ramaswamy and Christie drop out. We'll see how much of that vote ends up trickling into Trump and Haley. Now for the Democrats, they have their own situation. Since the Democratic National Committee has tried to make South Carolina the first in the nation primary instead of New Hampshire is going to go ahead anyway. They're trying to add it to their state constitution, but for this, Biden's name is actually not even going to be on the ballot, so he's going to have to mount the all-exciting write-in campaign. Now this is at least a semi-open primary, and there's a lot of independents in the state. You can see that undeclared party registration is higher than the Democrats or the Republicans. So if we scroll down past some of these pictures, including Ron DeSantis in a rather amusing campaign stop, you can get some more details if you're interested in the background of this primary. But if we go down a little bit farther, they do have an interesting table that shows the party switches in New Hampshire, and by far the most changes are Democratic to undeclared. If you're looking for pure party changes, Democrat to Republican has 408, Republican to Democratic, they're down at only 78. So not a lot of changes here. Maybe some Democrats are changing to undeclared so they can specifically vote in the Republican primary. There's a possibility that happens. And they do mention here the state famously has inclusive rules that allow college students from other states to vote as long as they don't vote anywhere else. So take that information however you'd like. But the independents are going to be key, and it's pretty much do or die for Haley. I think she at least has to win the state, or else there's not going to be anywhere for her to go. Personally, I don't think getting close is really going to cut it for Haley, especially after she came in third in Iowa. Now, the Democrats are technically having a mild form of a primary. The DNC and a lot of mainstream media would probably have you believe otherwise. However, either way, more the focus is going to be for the GOP, and there were supposed to be two primary debates happening between Iowa and New Hampshire. But the news here says those debates are going to be canceled because Nikki Haley has said she's not going to participate if Donald Trump is not on the stage. We know Trump has not participated. He's not going to participate. DeSantis says he would participate, but it looks like we may have seen the last of any of these candidates on a debate stage. Now, it's easier for me to not have to watch another debate. However, from Nikki Haley's perspective, I would think it would be beneficial if she did do these debates. New Hampshire is going to be the state that she's going to probably do her best in. And right before voters are going to cast their ballots, I would think she'd want to prove herself yet again. But apparently not. She must think that that's only going to hurt her. Maybe her getting in third in Iowa has something to do with it. And as for Ron DeSantis, we'll get to him and his polling in just a moment. Now let's not completely forget about the Democrats. Let's get on Real Clear Politics and take a look at the polling. In the aggregate of these four polls, Biden as a write-in is at 58%. Dean Phillips, remember him? He's down at 9.8. And Marianne Williamson, who's been in this thing for a long time, she's putting up only 5%. There's a little bit of range on some of these polls. The most recent one from Emerson does have Biden under 50%. Phillips is at 15, Biden with a 33-point lead. So I do think Phillips and Williamson should have been given some better treatment by the media. A lot of polls have shown even Democratic primary voters in the abstract want somebody other than Biden, and I would think it would only help him if he were also on the debate stage and also went through a semi-rigorous primary. But no, it looks like we're not going to get it. I also think it gives Phillips and Williamson enough ammo to say that their party is not actually in favor of enough democracy. So maybe some New Hampshire Democrats are scored by the DNC trying to move the primary to South Carolina, and they end up not supporting Biden. But unless something crazy happens, it looks like Biden is going to be the winner here. It would be incredibly embarrassing in the moment if Biden happened to not win, but in the long run, I don't think it would really matter. So unless something crazy happens, Biden looks like he's going to win the state. Now let's look at the polling on the Republican side. Here's the aggregate polling, and some of these are after Iowa and after Ramaswamy has dropped out and endorsed Donald Trump. So Trump is not at 50% here. He's at about 46. Haley close to 34. Chris Christie, who dropped out, is still at 12%. And here's where Ron DeSantis comes in. He's only at 6% in this state. And then Ramaswamy does have another 6. Now, if you look at just the top two polls, which were conducted after Iowa, their Trump is actually hitting just about 50% of the vote. And their Haley is in the mid to high 30s. So if Haley was going to make a move, it doesn't look like she's done it in the couple of polls we've seen. If you want to see what it looks like on 538, here Trump is at 47.1, Haley 33.9, DeSantis 5.2. Finally, if you're in the markets and you want to see where people are putting their money, let's take a look at predict it. Here, the market is who will win the 2024 New Hampshire Republican primary. Donald Trump is at 90 cents, Nikki Haley is at 11, everybody else down at 1. And if you look at the trend, Trump has maintained a significant advantage over the past 90 days. A week or two ago, it did start to narrow up a little bit. Trump got down to about 70 as it looked like Haley might be making a move. But that surge doesn't look like it panned out. I think her getting in third place ruined it a little bit. Plus, I think Trump is going to gain from Ramaswamy dropping out. And it doesn't look like Haley is gaining all that much from Chris Christie dropping out. Plus, there was the hot mic of Christie not exactly complimenting Nikki Haley. There could be an untapped segment of the population that is going to come out hard for Nikki Haley. And she could surge in the final couple of days and make it extremely close. That's not an impossibility. I would just say that looks fairly unlikely at this point. But you always at least have to keep the door open for something unexpected happening. So that's kind of where things are at. It looks like Trump is in position to go 2 for 2. If he doesn't, that would create some shockwaves, but I still think that would just be a speed bump on his path to nomination. Now, if somehow he got convicted today in one of his trials, that would make it a lot harder to say what's going to happen. So we're going to see what the margin is for Trump and for Biden. And we have to see at what point Ron DeSantis is going to call it quits. So I'm going to leave it there for now. Let me know in the comments. What do you think is going to happen in New Hampshire? Is it definitely going to be Trump? What's his margin going to be? What about Biden? What's his margin going to be in the write-in campaign? And if Trump does win with over 50% of the vote, what do you think Haley and DeSantis are going to do? Let me know down below on your way out. Don't forget to like, share, and subscribe. Join if you'd like to support the channel. Hit the bell for notifications. Thanks for watching, and I'll see you on the next video.